Good morning. Hope you all are doing well. In the 1980s, I got very interested in understanding the role of demographics regarding supply and demand. And there were two great books that I read in the 80s. One is called The Pig and the Python by David Cork, and another one called The Roaring 2000s by Harry Dent. And they both detailed how the baby boomers, based on being such a big part of uh, the economy and big part of the population, were going to drive consumption over the next several decades, which of course has happened. And I think it's really important to look at the household formation right now of the millennial generation. And I think you can make a great comparison to the millennials and look at how consumption was driven by a large part of the population in both the 1950s and the 1980s, and the 1980s by the boomers, and how the markets actually responded to that. And in both decades, the 1950s and the 1980s, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was over 18%. And I think you can start to see this as you look at, first of all, the makeup of the workforce. And as you'll notice here, millennials have now become the largest generation in the labor force in 2016, a couple of years ago. It's actually a great thing. Obviously, a high percentage of our population is in that age group, 19 to 37, where they start to become major consumers. And I think you saw this as you compared wedding numbers. And in 2009, the amount of weddings in the United States was a little bit over 2 million. And this year, pre-COVID, it's expected to be actually 3.3 million. So obviously a dramatic increase. And as you sit there and go and have become married and raise kids, it's actually amazing the forced consumption that comes from this. And it's interesting to look at some recent data from the Department of Agriculture. And again, as you have children and you actually have this forced consumption to give a child clothes and shelter and so forth. And according to, again, the recent report from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, from age 0 to age 17 in the United States, the average cost for a median household to raise a child, not counting college, is over $230,000. There are now 87 million millennials. They're the largest group now in our population base that are in that 19 to 37 age group. So I really argue that we are going to have really some forced consumption, which will actually bring about, in my opinion, pretty significant prosperity as we finally get through this recession and get through COVID. We've actually got a really cool ebook that we put together with an updated report on demographic trends and consumption trends in the United States, and we'd be glad to get that to you. Please email me if you'd like that, ray.evans@pegasuskc.com. We look forward to talking to you soon. Stay safe, wear your mask, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.